In July, an application was submitted to the council for a certificate of lawful existing use and development at Hamptons by the owners, Chelmsford Muslim Society. If you don't know what a CLEUD is or what the application contained, then watch our other videos on this channel. But in summary, it's not a planning application, but an attempt to claim that Hamptons has been used continuously as a place of worship, in breach of its planning consent for over 10 years. If granted, it would make Hamptons immune from any enforcement action for any religious use going forward, of any scale or intensity, and it wouldn't need planning permission to do so. The application attracted 33 representations from the local community and one rather vague and slightly confusing comment from the parish council. Only 3 comments submitted were in support of the application, but mostly contained information irrelevant to a CLEUD application. Local authorities have a statutory 8 weeks to determine CLEUD applications, but in this case, it took Chelmsford City Council 15 weeks to decide. Well, it's probably because it's complex and highly technical, or a matter of fact and degree. Or maybe because the consultation period was extended after the council failed to display a site notice, something they're legally obliged to do. Nonetheless, on the 29th of October, the decision was made and the application was refused. Now, we've been fairly critical of the council's decision-making surrounding Hamptons, but in this case, credit where it's due, they've got this one right. We've put a link in the description below to the officer's report and the decision notice. There are 3 reasons given for refusal, all of which we'd already identified, but they are as follows. They attempted to dilute religious worship amongst a range of other uses across multiple use classes, and as such, a CLEUD can't be issued for this. The council also didn't agree that their current use entitled them to claim the right to full use of E, F1 and F2 use classes, so those of you who are looking forward to dropping the kids off at Hamptons Creche before browsing round the Hamptons Art Gallery will be disappointed. The building opened in 2012 and, as a result, isn't 10 years old to even qualify for a CLEUD application. The evidence they submitted included previous uses at the old Marconi Club, but as a new planning unit was created when the new centre was built, it makes uses within the old building irrelevant. Now, these are basic facts of planning law that you'd expect an experienced and qualified planning agent to know and maybe advise their client of before taking their money and wasting everybody's time. Finally, the evidence submitted failed to demonstrate that any religious use had taken place outside of the existing planning consent for the building that would have represented a material change of use. So, what happens now? Well, they could appeal the decision to the planning inspectorate, but with such strong reasons for refusal, it would likely be unsuccessful and would just be wasting more time and money. They could resubmit the application after the 10 years has expired, but as they've failed to prove any use for religious worship in the last 9 years, it'd only be refused again on the same grounds. Even if they submitted new evidence, they'd still have to use the building until then in breach of its planning consent and avoid any enforcement action in the process. They could submit a change of use planning application, but it's something they've said that they don't plan to do, and it's something we've been saying for a long time now, would likely be refused on the grounds of parking provision, noise and disturbance to residents, and loss of community facilities. Why not just continue as they are? After all, they're now promoting a sports and leisure centre for the whole community, focusing on health and fitness, with only occasional and limited use for worship. Which, if that was the case, why did they need to submit a CLEUD at all? But they're already on the limit of what religious use the council deems permitted within its current consent, and the addition of ritual ablution facilities would likely tip the scales in the balance of needing a change of use. And without these facilities, it's just not the mosque that they promised their donors. As for the business, well, they've already cut off main revenue sources, and with many previous users and members having now left, they'll need more than a defibrillator to revive and continue the business as it currently is. Finally, they could just accept that their decision to attempt to convert Hamptons to the largest mosque in Essex was unplanned and ill-thought, and limit further debt to the charity by cutting their losses and selling the business. The funds could be used to find a more suitable location for their new mosque. Perhaps they might seek advice from the other mosque in Chelmsford, the Ali Reza Islamic Centre, who have quietly gone about their business by building a new mosque in a suitable location with good transport links and parking. They've been open and honest with the council and community about their plans and, as a result, haven't been faced with any objections, something which CMS might take note of. As we approach 2 years since CMS purchased Hamptons, the future of the centre remains in the balance. In our view, it's already not the community facility it once was, and we're not convinced by their attempts to prove otherwise. It's now time for CMS to make some decisions and start being more open and honest about their plans with the local residents, the council and councillors, and from what we hear, even their own community. Until then, we're left dealing with the council's ambiguous assessments about any further increased religious use and where they would draw the line as to what needs planning permission. It'll be 2 years in January since we started this campaign, and we're more determined than ever to see it through. We've always maintained that we don't deny anyone the right to worship. Our campaign has always been about protecting this historic community facility and questioning the suitability of the building and its location for their real plans. At this point, we'd like to thank everyone who has followed our campaign and offered their support throughout. For more information, check out our website and the other videos on this channel. If you want to get in touch with us, then just drop us an email on this address. Thanks for watching.